welcome back to another episode of Korean Tapas, the best podcast around for knowing about Korea, Spain, Seoul, Barcelona, and everything in between. With me, as usual, Senor Kim. How are you?
Which one?
The official one. There's only one
I'm
official
lost
Senor
lost.
Kim. No. In on the internet, if you look for Senor Kim in YouTube, there's only one, which is Jisang Kim.
Greetings from the real Senor Kim. Everybody, hi.
And the fake one from the countryside. How are you, Minki?
Yeah, I'm now in my country, so I hope my internet goes well.
You are in your country. I hope you're in your country. Okay.
I'm in my country too.
In your city.
Okay,
Okay. And put the town, a small town. How many people are there in your small village?
maybe 50, under 50 or 100 people.
Really? Wow, it's really small. Okay. I was expecting for you to tell me no, it's a small town of 1 million because
No, no, it's really small, and people are old.
Oh, okay. Great. So I wanted to talk about top destinations in South Korea because you will not believe it, but like colleagues, friends, when people want to go to South Korea, they approach me and they tell me, "Hey, you've been there many times. Can you recommend me something?" And I have to tell them, "Well, I haven't seen many things. I usually, when I go, it's for training, so I visit 2 or 3 cities, or championships. It's maybe 4 cities, and that's it. And I want to get your input, guys, on what would you recommend for someone like a first timer that we're going to South Korea. How many days we spend here, there? What's the best season, and all those things that I want to approach you. See if we can just share, and you guys tell me what would you recommend, and then I tell you, okay, I've been there, not, and I put it on my to do list. So first question for you. First question for Jisang. What season? If I can choose, if I'm free to take my vacations anytime, when would you recommend me to go?
Personally, I want to recommend the people from other countries to come to Korea from April to June, I guess, among those 3 months. Because personally, in April, there are iconic scenery that can be seen in Korea, which is the streets full of cherry blossoms. That's probably as you might have heard, there are lots of cherry blossom trees in Korea and Japan. And as far as I know, those trees are not that common in other countries, especially the countries out of Asia. And those are like the flowers on trees. So the scenery is like totally amazing. It's like it can be described as all the leaves on the trees are changed into the flowers. So the scenery of that season is quite beautiful, and also I like the summer season as well. But before it gets quite humid, so that's why I said before July.
Totally, man. I mean, I was lucky enough to be there. I think it was May, first or second time, and I catched a little bit of the blossoms, and it was super beautiful. It was at the end when they were already falling, so I catched the last the last remaining cherries, but definitely super super beautiful. What about you, Minky?
I'll recommend you guys fall. The reason that I chose the autumn fall is that you can see many fallen leaves, which is colored as red and yellow. Korea has like 70% of territory for mountains, and imagine that you can see all the mountain has yellow and reddish colored, and it'll be a nice weather, and you can see many sightseeing.
Well, that's something definitely on my to do. I've never been there during that would be what, October, November, or what months?
Yes, from last of September till just 1 month, maybe until October.
Okay, so really short. Yeah, definitely, it's on my to do list because I experimented also like ends of July, and it was a nightmare. Like Seoul was like, yeah, it's like, okay, sometimes it was raining, but when it was not raining, it was so hot, so humid. You had to go into a cafe to drink some liquids, otherwise you would melt on the street. But well, it's the same in Barcelona, so that's fine. Awesome, you guys. Great. So of course, everybody knows Seoul. Everybody has heard of Seoul. How many days should somebody spend in Seoul, like the first time?
From my experience, I actually had a chance to introduce Korea to one of my foreign friends who's from Argentina. his visit to Korea was his first time, and I recommended him to spend like um, about 10 days. And I think that duration was, I mean, quite enough for the person who's in Korea for the first time.
Oh, hold on. 10 days in Seoul or in Korea?
In Korea, so like for example,
Ah,
10 nights, I guess. So he spent like 3 to 4 nights in Seoul, and 2 nights in Busan, and the rest of his stay in Jeju Island.
yeah. Thank you, Jisang, because of course, I guess the first question we should have asked is how many days like the trip should take, the whole thing, right? Are you coming for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Okay, you're saying 10 days. That's a little bit less than 2 weeks for the whole trip. What do you say, Minky? Would you recommend less or more than 10 days?
More or less 10 days will okay, won't be enough, but at least I think that you need 10 days because Seoul has so much things to see and do and eat. So at least 4 days in Seoul. And I strongly recommend you guys to come Korea not only for s- not only for seeing Seoul, but also the other cities as like Jeonju, Gyeongju. There are so many historic places that we can visit and see other than Seoul. So I strongly recommend you to spend less than half of your travel in Seoul and the other days in other region. So
Definitely, we will now talk about other locations for sure. But everybody like who talks to me says, "Yeah, I mean, I had this conversation like 3 weeks ago. A colleague was saying, hey, I'm going to South Korea. How many days I stay in Seoul? I didn't know. I mean, I know there are a lot of things to do. I know that like the palaces and many areas. And you said it, Minky, lots of things to eat. Just follow Minky on Instagram and you will know. Lots of things to eat. So okay, so we're saying Sang is saying 3, 4. Minky has a formula saying less than half, okay, depending on the duration. I think if you come from a country that allows you to take lots of vacations like Spain, if you can take 3 weeks, do it. Like three better than two. Like I think the trip is so long, you will have probably jet lag. You will already spend 1 or 2 days just traveling, right? And then depending on you how you feel, maybe you will take you 2 3 days to already be like ready to go out and explore everything, or maybe just relax at the hotel. So definitely if you could do like three better than 2 weeks, awesome. So we're saying Seoul 3 days, 4 days, got it, fine. Next on your list, if we are in Seoul, where should we go next? Are we going south? Are we going west? Where are we going?
You mean in Seoul only, right?
Well, I mean, do we want to get into Seoul or do we want to get into more cities or other locations? I mean, I know in Seoul there's just so many too many things to do. Like you can go to the Insadong and all those crazy neighborhoods, which are awesome. But I don't think we should get into that. Maybe we can explore more what Minky was saying, more like other cities on other towns that are not very like because I think Seoul you can just Google it. Right? You can say what to do in Seoul and you'll get top 10. That's easy. But I think you guys can tell me other things or other locations within Korea that maybe it's not so easy to Google.
maybe it'll be better for us to say like I say one and Jisang say one. Like
Let's do it. Okay, just say one. Go ahead, Minky.
okay, I'll recommend you Gwangjang Traditional Market, which is the Ricard you already been. The in Gwangjang Market you can see many traditional things, clothes and some stuffs for a living, and there are so many people for actual life. And actually I go there for eating, as like pancake, as like Korean traditional pancake, which is called 빈대떡 or raw meat.
Okay, but that's a market inside Seoul, right? The Quanta market. Just to be clear
Yes,
for the
inside
listeners.
Seoul.
Okay, got it.
hmm
Next, Jisang.
In Seoul, I'd like to recommend Deoksugung Palace, which is one of like 4 to 5 palaces in Seoul. I mean, classic palaces from our history. Because as far as I know, lots of visitors from other countries come to Korea to see all those skyscrapers and all those fancy new buildings. But in that palace, Doksugung Palace, even though the palace itself is not so um, wide or large, it's right in the middle of all those tall buildings. So when you go to that palace, you can enjoy those old scenery and modern scenery at the same time. So you might feel like you were doing a time travel. That's why I recommend that place, obviously.
Is that palace the one that's in that avenue where they have the inventor of the Hangul language? And then is that the one?
Not that one. That's Gyeongbokgung. That's the biggest one.
Okay, okay, got
That
it.
there is a smaller one right next to the Seoul Square.
Okay, are we continuing in Seoul or are we going already outside of Seoul for other recommendations?
Probably one more from each.
Yep, Minky?
Of course, Gangnam style, you know. Like if you want to experience some fashion Seoul, like modern trend, then you should go to Gangnam. That the real Koreans are, what can I say? The young and like enjoyable Koreans are there. So please, at least if you're in Seoul, at least one time in Gangnam.
Definitely. Jisang?
Lastly, I should pick Yeouido, Han River Park.
Ah,
There's a riverside park all along the Han River, which is the biggest river that goes right through in the center of Seoul. And unlike other rivers in other global cities, Han River is very wide, which I mean the width might be wide more than 1 kilometer. I guess probably 2 kilometers. So during the evening and night, the scenery is, I mean, quite unique and obviously beautiful, and especially in those parks, everyone can enjoy like evening picnic or even drinking outside. So I mean, that's gonna be obviously very pleasant experience for everyone, I guess.
Very nice. Yeah, I remember Minky. You took me there. Maybe as a date. No, we were four, not as a date. We
yes,
we were
yes.
there.
Ah, you went there already.
And that place is my former working place. So like
Oh, that's why. Okay, okay.
I like the place, and also I hate the place.
It's a love hate relationship. Awesome. Yeah, and there I'm sure there are many other places in Seoul. Just Google them. But for us now, let's get into more exotic places, not so known to the listeners. Okay, so again, we're living Seoul. Where do we go?
I love this city, which the we are calling this city Gyeongju, the 1,000 years city, old city, that it was capital in the past, and there are so many historic places to visit, especially for temples and king's tomb and blah blah. There are so many place to eat there. The modern there are also modern trendy food. So I will visit there next July. So I go there like annually.
That's awesome, and yeah, definitely. I haven't been there, and I want to go, but never had the chance yet on my trips. So on my next one, I definitely need to try. And when I do, I will ask you for food recommendations.
Of course, yeah.
Jisang, what about you?
This might sound quite obsolete, probably for the ones who already are aware of Korean things, but I'd like to strongly recommend Busan, because in Korea there aren't many big cities alongside the ocean, but Busan is the huge, huge city right next to the beaches. So the scenery is quite unique, and obviously there are lots of local foods, quite delicious. And it's a little bit hard to explain in language, but everyone can see some of the slight cultural difference even from Seoul. So yeah, that remains as obviously one of my favorite places to visit in Korea.
Is it especially good for fish, like because it's close to the sea, or?
Yeah, exactly. There are lots of restaurants. I mean, seafood restaurants. I mean, there are tons of seafood restaurants, and especially in Korea, sashimi is quite popular. We call it hue in Korean. So when we go to Busan, everyone asks other people that if you had tried hue over there. So that's obviously one that the visitors shouldn't miss.
Yeah, Busan is famous. I think there are many movies like these things. What it called? Train to Busan, something like
Yeah,
that. The
exactly,
zombie
and
movie and
exactly.
others. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. That would be on the east corner. Okay, awesome. Okay, then we've crossed the whole Korea already. Where are we going now, Minky? Take us somewhere.
Okay. I'll recommend you Jeonju, which is famous too. It was the capital city uh, in the past too, but it's strongly famous for food. Like it's the most it's the most famous city for food. So if you go to Jeonju, you should eat at least like 7 or 8 plates.
But all your recommendations are about food. First you said Gyeongju and now Jeonju, which name is very similar. But now it's everything
Okay,
for food. For you, for
Jeonju
you, it's
is
always food.
That's why Minky gets chubby, chubby.
okay. Thank you. Anyway, but
Jokey,
especially
jokey.
like I know the foreigners love bibimbap, which is like mixed rice with vegetables and meat. And Jeonju is one of the most famous city for bibimbap and like meat and something. So please, I if you are interested in food, please visit.
Definitely. I was there because of your recommendation, and I went there with my friends. And I think there I had the most or the spiciest bibimbap in my life. It was so spicy, my mouth was on fire. The only thing about the city is it felt a little bit like overcrowded with tourism. It was too much. Like
Mm,
I was
mm.
expecting more of traditional stuff and more calm, but it was just so packed that it took away a little bit of the sweetness or the cuteness of the place because just too many people, right? Maybe
Many
bad.
Koreans, right?
Yeah, and other like and foreigners as well. Just too many people in general. But yeah, the food was very nice. Awesome. Jisang, where are we going?
So we are supposing that you're gonna spend 2 weeks in Korea, or like, right? I mean,
Yeah,
with
yeah,
enough
okay.
time. I mentioned Busan, and I forgot to mention that it's another reason I picked that place is because the transportation is quite comfortable. I mean, from Seoul to get there, because there are, I mean, rapid train and airplane as well. But this time, the second one, I mean, the second destination that I'm going to mention is the one with the least comfortable transportation. But obviously, it's worth visiting. It's called Ulleungdo. It's the farthest island from the Korean peninsula. So it takes about 3.5 hours by boat. So, as far as I know, I mean, even for Koreans, the destination itself is not that popular, even though the name itself is, I mean, quite common to know. Everybody knows that island because in the East Sea, there are like only one or two islands because of the, I don't know, the terrain. There are not many islands, but there are one or two island in the East Sea, and Ulleungdo is one of them. And it feels quite amazing because the scenery, I mean, the nature of that island itself is totally amazing. I cannot pick a word to explain that place because the nature itself is quite different and unique, even compared to the all the other cities in, I mean, all the other areas in Korea, and it's more like some some place from New Zealand or Australia. So it feels quite exotic. So that's why I want to.
Yeah, so this will be a recommendation for someone who wants to explore more nature in their trip.
Exactly, especially ones who are willing to spend lots of hours on boat.
Yeah, 3.5 hours.
Mhm.
It's not so bad. 3.5 hours. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Cool, very cool. We had mountains, we had cities, we had seafood. What are we missing in this trip, Minky?
Maybe you've heard or never heard, like Korean is one of the most famous for mud. Like, do you know what is mud?
I know what mud is, but I didn't know that Korea is famous for getting dirty
Mm,
and muddy. Okay.
Also, now we are talking about the festivals in Korea.
yes, yeah, like uh, the mud is like some dirt. What can I explain? Like dirt
Yeah,
in the sea,
mud is
right?
mud, like MOD,
Mm-hmm.
MUD, mud. Everyone knows about. But what is festival about? Is it like
There's mud festival in Korea in the city of Daecheon, or Boryong, the same city. when we go there, you can, what can I say? You can play with mud, and this is one of the most famous for foreigners. Many foreigners comes to this place for like playing with mud.
But like for a skin treatment, to get your skin smooth or something like that, or
Whatever, yes, whatever.
whatever,
Like
man.
you throw it, yeah, it's like tomatina. Like you throw
Mm.
it, and yeah, most of the times you throw it.
Okay, just for playing in the mud, strange. Okay, and where is the city? Is it like south, west, east? Maybe for the listeners to locate themselves.
It's west and it's nearby my hometown,
Okay.
but it's
That's why the recommendation. Okay, I see.
no, but there are so many U.S. people to go to there. Like I had American friends that somebody asked me like, "Oh, why are you so famous?" Like, actually, I don't go there because I went there when I was young so many times.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So you are recommending something you didn't go to? That's illegal. That's
No,
cheating.
I like when I go there like in the elementary school. I went there every every year, so it's not
Okay. Okay.
new for me. But when I grew up, I noticed this is so much special for foreigners.
Okay. Mudding. And very very special. Very specific. Cool. Anything else? Jisang, like festivals or something we shouldn't miss?
Actually, I always wanted to mention something new, but I have to mention this twice because it's very important in Korea. I should strongly recommend the Cherry Blossom Festival. It's obviously the festival held in April, obviously. And in Korea, I mean, in every single cities there are cherry blossom festivals because everywhere you can easily find cherry blossom streets. I mean, the streets full of cherry blossoms. So it doesn't have any specific contents inside because it's obviously the festival. Um, quite simple festival. For example, they just close the streets. I mean, they close the streets only for the pedestrians, and everyone can walk through all those how to say the roads. And there are lots of food trucks along the road, and everyone can take beautiful photos. I mean, to set them as their profile photo on their messenger.
Haha. Instagrams. Yeah.
Exactly, for Instagram, for KakaoTalk, whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah, and the most famous one is in Seoul. The most famous one is in Yeouido, which is coincidence in a coincidence, which is the festival right next to the river park that I mentioned in this episode. And there is another popular one out of Seoul in Jinhae, which is at the very south of the Korean peninsula. Yeah, those two are the ones that all those foreigners should visit if they are able to come to Korea in April.
Yeah, I would imagine also smaller towns just in this spirit of blossom, the short short festivals or nights out and eating outside, and yeah, it's yeah looks very yeah. I want to go. I want to go. So now I'm gonna be
You should have a girlfriend for watching. I mean, seeing the
yeah, yeah,
cherry blossom.
yeah, just yeah, find me a date, Minky. All right, so now I'm gonna be the devil's advocate because I know when I Google like top things to do in Seoul, top things to do in Korea, usually, but like most of the blog posts, they mention the DMZ, like demilitarized
Ah,
zone
yeah.
Mm.
at the very north. And I want to get to your opinion. Do you think it's something that should be? I've never been there. I don't want to go there. I don't think it's appealing to me. But would you, as Koreans, find it interesting, or is it something just for the I don't know, the foreigners who think this is not as I don't know. You tell me.
Personally, I luckily had a chance to visit there, even though that place is very difficult to visit for us. I don't know why, but we have to submit the request. I mean, 1 or 2 months prior to their planned visit because it's a very complicated process. But luckily, I had a chance to join with some of the visitors from the U.S. And I don't know why, but the program itself was probably composed by the U.S. Army or something like that.
Uh,
And regardless of your interest in the division between North and South, if you go that if you go there, I mean, that place is very historic and symbolic place of the conflict between, I don't know, the socialist society and the democratic society, something like that. You're gonna feel quite complicated and delicate feeling when you go there. So even though the process might be quite tough or complicated, if you make it, you should go there. That's what I think.
I strongly agree with him. Like, we call Korea as like peninsula, but actually we are so isolated as like island because we cannot go through train to North Korea or Russia. We, only the way that we can go to abroad is airplane because we are blocked. So if you want to experience a really different thing than in Korea, especially for then you can go to DMZ. Like it's totally different.
And then you surprised me, guys, because I thought that you would be against the like converting or using this conflict and exploiting it for the tourism benefit. In the end, it's just they create these packages, tour packages. You can go there and take the photo, and in the background you see North Korea, but you are sitting in South Korea. I don't know. I thought that you would feel more like against people just going there and taking the selfie. Interesting.
I don't feel that we are still at war.
Sorry. I didn't want to like derail the episode. I know we already recorded the episode about North Korea, and I don't want to talk about it again. Sorry. Sure. Right. Anything else from your side? Any other city? Any other festival? Any other things that we should tell the listeners? Yes. When you fly here, do not miss out on dot dot dot.
Jisang, please explain us Jeju.
Oh, of course, Jeju Island.
I know that
I'm
you like
I'm
Jeju.
told I'm told it's only for dates and couples. Can a single go there?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I don't know why you think like that, but I never thought that this destination is only for the couple. Yeah, Jeju Island is like obviously, I should say, the most unique place in Korea because it's the only area with subtropical climate. I mean, at least in Korea. And as far as I know, even though I visited lots of countries out of Korea, there are very few seas, and I mean the ocean more transparent than the seas that I saw in Jeju Island. So obviously, this island is only, even though there are lots of things to see in Jeju Island, I mean, including all the mountains or good restaurants, some caves, some falls. Even though you are only able to visit the beaches, I should still recommend this place because of the clean and beautiful water that you can see in the seaside. Lastly, I should also mention and warn that I've seen some of my foreign friends who are from the tropical countries
Ah.
saying that this place is not special at all because for them it's quite normal. So, I mean, probably there might be some people who are not very surprised to see the sceneries here, but if they are not from those tropical islands or tropical countries, still this place is recommendable.
Okay, so in general, if you come from Europe, it would be a nice way to get into nature, clean water, and awesome. Then yeah, also my to do, and now that it's super hot in Barcelona, I definitely would like to be in those like crystal clear waters. Oh my god, so cool. That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for the recommendations. I really appreciate it, and hopefully the listeners will too. Did we miss anything, or are we good to close the episode?
Today it felt like we became Korean ambassador to
You always are, yeah.
yeah.
Like it or not, you always are in the ambassadors. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, but today it was, I mean, more special, I think.
And my countryside home is open.
Your city is open. Your town is open.
Yes, yes. And my parents told me like if you come to Korea, they will treat you. So they're like, come.
But hold on. Do we get KTX in in that town? Can I go with bullet
No
train?
KTX, only bus or train for at least
Ah,
3 hours from Seoul. Just guess, like, if you come,
three
like, we'll
hours.
treat you.
Oh my god, 3 hours. I'm in Busan with 3 hours. What is
Yes.
this? Just kidding. Yeah, I would love to visit your town, man. That would be amazing to get the true experience, the true Korean experience, at least once. Just kidding. Uh, Jisang, Minki, thank you so much.
My pleasure, as always.
Thank you for explaining this one.
No, you explain. I just ask questions.
I mean,
That was an easy one.
giving us chance for explaining.
Cool stuff. For the listeners, yeah, drop your questions. If you're planning to go to South Korea, have questions about food, just follow Minky on Instagram. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.